That's all I have.
Now, from here, we just go ahead and move to, city clerk, or we don't hear. There are no public comments here.
There are no public comments that were submitted.
Okay, and so,
And
let's
so
move on to the next item.
you can, unless you have some discussion about it, you can
Are
take.
there any questions from the board? Anybody from the board?
So public petition will occur later?
No,
We-
so because,
We can have scheduled appointments, which will probably be in reference to the budget. Okay? That's what we are, right? That's what we'll do, right? And the scheduled appointments will be probably requesting something or much funding. Okay? At the end, we're going to recess this meeting, and we're going to approve this budget at our recess meeting.
and just to make sure everybody is here understands, so because this meeting is officially closed to the public and public safety, we're only allowing, obviously, the commissioners, press, and some select staff, and others who are on the agenda tonight. The governor's executive order does include a waiver for local governments that we can't exceed that 10 people gathered. So in the notice regarding the budget tonight, we included, number one, the opportunity for anyone who had comments specific to the budget could have submitted that in writing by yesterday at 5 o'clock. Or, yes, that's right, they could have submitted those requests in writing by 5 o'clock yesterday. So we did not receive, I do have a public comment that was submitted, and I will read during the public petition. But Mr. Peters just advised that if there are folks that are already here that want to speak, if it's okay with you.
Yes, sir. All right. If anybody from the public would like to speak at this time, if so, please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. And then remember to get your scheduled appointment, sure. Okay.
I'd like to speak.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the information concerning the sheriff's department. And I had mentioned in our last meeting, I really think it's imperative that we look to raise the salaries of our detention center officers. The information you provided is that there are 56 positions in detention, plus an additional 6 positions of detention support staff, for a total of $366,000. I would ask this board that we consider an additional $275,000 increase above what your budget calls for, that would be earmarked just for the detention center staff and the support staff, which would affect 63 people.
Any other comments from the board? Go ahead.
At our last meeting, I had recommended that we also look at the deputies, not just detention. So I'd have to say if we were gonna do that for detention staff, I would also have to recommend for the deputies. They are front line and essential, so I'd have to stand for those.
I'm trying not to dilute the amount of money. I'm trying to make the biggest impact into the area of the sheriff's department that has the highest turnover with some of the lowest wages. So I figured that what we should do is that we should take this piecemeal. We should apply what limited resources we have right now, where we have the highest turnover, lowest starting wages in the detention center. I agree with you. I know our deputies need additional monies as well, and they're on the front lines. But I think we got to take this step by step.
But can I get any feedback from the other commissioners in terms of what kind of guys would need direction in the preparation of the final document, in terms of where some more support might be, or what the commissioners have spoken to?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that even if we're not competitive, we should not be so far behind in paying our deputies and securing safety for the citizens of Edgecombe County. And no matter how much we give them, it's never going to be enough. But we should be able to keep our deputies here rather than them come to get training and go somewhere else. But we do have some some good qualified deputies who are working under a good sheriff. And we need to consider that because the turnover doesn't look good and it's not safe for us to do that.
Any other commissioners? Like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I think that obviously we all have different feelings about this particular issue, but we also have to do the 22nd. I would hate to see us make a decision tonight on anything without the budget committee meeting and all of us discussing this prior to it.
Well, we're not gonna vote on the budget tonight, so I'm just asking the manager if he would.
Look at
Well, I
it.
think what the manager needs is, he needs to hear from all of us so that he will know what to do with the budget in terms of, he's preparing a final document that we need to be approved of. So I'm saying there needs to be some consensus in this discussion from the board as to what we might do if there's a consensus of 4 more people here on one or more of those requests, then he needs to be preparing a document for our approval, okay? So is there any other members of the board that like to at least speak to what you feel?
My other comment would be, I see the numbers that were proposed. If there's any way that we could compromise on all 6 of them, adding to each one.
All 6 different classifications.
If we could go 8, if we could go 5, if we could go 5, maybe we could go 3. At least looking at all of them.
That's
Well,
all.
Mr. Chairman,
Good.
I'd like to make a motion that I ask this body to.
That's it. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm asking is that in light of compromise, I would like to ask this body to consider a $350,000 increase in addition to the 2% that you'd already allotted throughout, but the $350,000 to be earmarked for salary increase at the sheriff's department. And I'd ask this board to give that direction to Mr. Evans to add it into the budget when we meet again.
Any other thoughts from the board members in terms of what Mr. Wood suggested?
I will second.
What was that? That's not,
I will second it.
I don't think we need approval in here. I think we need a consensus.
A consensus would be fine, I just want to make sure it
I
happens.
think we need a consensus for direction. Anybody disagree with that?
But you're saying possibly spread that money through all positions.
I am now. I personally believe it should go just to the detention center, but in hearing what Ms. Harris has to say and taking consideration, I'm willing to meet in the middle and negotiate that.
If we can look at that, Mr. Chair, if we can look at that amount, and again, we'll look at everybody.
You agree with that?
I can agree with that.
You said you could agree with that, Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Ball?
Yes.
You all right?
I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
The total appropriation would be what?
I suggested $350,000 additional dollars in salaries for the sheriff's department to be divided between the 6 classifications.
So what is this 940,000?
No, we're not.
The request was for $940,000.
He's saying $350,000, not
But the
total.
2% is already on the table.
That's in addition to the 2% for all county staff. I'm trying to earmark monies in addition just to the sheriff's department. And we can discuss this more at the next meeting. We're not
Well,
voting on it
I
tonight.
think what we're doing now, we asking him to prepare a document. Okay. Now, if the budget committee comes up with something different, you only have 3 of you. I'm trying to get a consensus here
Okay.
in terms of you all right?
I'm all right, but I'd love to see it be 400,000. And I know 50,000 isn't that much, but I just want to do, I see when I hear exactly what, Mr. Wood was saying in regards to the detention staff. I also see what Mrs. Harris is saying in regards to the deputies, and I don't have an argument that we need to look maybe at all of it, but my heart goes out to those deputies and to that detention staff. That is my feeling now, but I can go along with whatever.
What I'm trying to understand is, with the 940,000, is that a request from the
That's a request from the church, but what we're saying, I don't know how What's on the table now is we're not gonna approve that total amount. What's on the table now is a consensus figure from the total board. And so far, it appears we got a consensus of $350,000.
That's $565,000 less than what he's asking for.
Yes, sir.
How you gonna compromise that?
And the baby steps until we see what we're gonna run into.
If
with
we
the
keep,
pandemic.
if we keep taking baby steps, we're gonna be without the qualified security we need for the county. And somewhere,
You tell him where to find the 940, let it up have it.
I'm not saying he ought to find the 940, but he ought to find more than 375.
Well, I'm hearing from four more, and I can agree with Mr. Wood's position. It appears that the direction for the manager is $350,000 for the salary of the sheriff's department.
I thought 375.
Let's go find the 400,000 that Ralph already talked about then. Take it easy.
I would,
Can I get a question in here?
Gary, go right ahead. Go ahead.
I want the county manager to tell me what the 2% total is for the sheriff's department.
I think it was around 150-something thousand. I don't know if I had that exact number.
So that would be added.
Right. So we're looking at the possibility of creating $500,000 more for the sheriff's department.
We're looking around, we're
Any
looking at.
compromise is.
What I did the math, the reason I came with 275 to begin with, and then the 350 came up was is 50% of what the ask is. We're sitting here in a time of the worst pandemic in our nation's history. We do not know if our income stream is gonna remain the same or deplete. I think we're taking a huge risk in doing the right thing now and trying to get them additional money. It's going to be very difficult, but I say we do it, especially in light of what's going on right now on the streets of America. Now, to Mr. Webb's point of wanting to negotiate from 350 to 400, I understand just before I went in this meeting that our law enforcement does not have riot gear. And if it took $50,000 more for riot gear, I would authorize that tonight and make it 400.
Well, I think the sheriff is gonna come up to us in a minute to talk about that, okay? He was missed on scheduled appointment, so he's coming on scheduled appointment, so we will not be approving anything until our rescheduling, so we'll deal with that. It appears now, unless you want to talk us back out of it.
No, 350 for salaries.
that we've got a consensus here, okay? And so if there are no other, is there any other discussion? So moving on to our next, which is scheduled appointment.
No, sir, a second public hearing.
The second public hearing, that's correct.
I'm sorry, yes, sir, you need to adjourn this public hearing.
I'd like to adjourn the public hearing and consideration of meeting date to approve the fiscal budget. What was that date, Mr.
June 22nd at 10 a.m.
Is there a motion to,
So moved.
second? Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, this public hearing is, the meeting date to approve this is for that. The next public hearing is called to order, receive citizen comments and questions relative to the rezoning request from Brandon Deal. The public hearing is called to order. Reading of the public notice, Mr. Peters.
Yes, sir. Public notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County on Monday, June 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the County Commissioners Room, second floor, County Administration Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Fall River, North Carolina, to consider and take action on a proposal to change the zoning classification of property owned by Raymond Deal located at 4297 EC 122 South in Township Number 10. The property is zoned AR30, rural residential, 30,000 square feet, and is requested to be changed to M2, General Industrial District. In light of the state of emergency and in consideration of the recommendations of government and public health officials to limit public gatherings, Edgecombe County Board of Commissioners meeting on June 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. will be closed to the public. The public is encouraged to submit any public comments via email to publiccomments@edgecombco.com by 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 31st, 2020. Public comments may also be submitted by mail addressed to Eric Evans, County Manager, P.O. Box 10, Tarboro, North Carolina 27886. All public comments submitted within 24 hours of the public hearing will be considered by the Board of Commissioners before a decision is made. The public is also encouraged to listen to the meeting by calling 1-929-205-6099, and entering 859-1498-6168 as the meeting ID. Copies of the proposed zoning map amendment are available during business hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. by contacting the county planning office at 252-641-7803. All parties in interest and all interested residents are urged to make their views known. This is the 21st day of May, 2020, by order of the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County. Frankie Mungo, clerk of the board.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I do want to know that this does come with a favorable recommendation from the planning board. We received no public comments regarding this. I would like, however, to note that the planning board did receive one letter from an adjoining property owner who did oppose this, and the letter basically expressed concerns about a business being developed in a residential area. I would like to point out, you'll see in your agenda packet, there are two maps, one showing the location of this piece of property. If you'll look at the second map that's color-coded, you'll see the area in purple is currently zoned M2. The area on that same piece of property that's zoned AR30 is what the property owner is requesting to be rezoned. So there's actually some structures on this property, and most of it is already zoned for business. So just wanted to give you that information.
At this time, we'll call for public comments. If anybody here would like to speak, so please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Is anybody to speak? If not, the recommended action is the planning board for this request with a favorable recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Mr. Evans, I'm going to move too fast. You want to put this into the record?
Yes, sir. No, I will read that during public petition.
The public petition?
Yes, sir, I'll read that.
At this time, we have scheduled appointments. Mr. Evans?
Actually, Mr. Wiggins, we need for you to reconvene as a Board of Equalization and Review.
Is there a motion to, what's the motion to go out of the Board of Commissioners?
To recess.
To recess the Board of Commissioners, go and convene as the Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Board of Second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, is now set as the Board of Review.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Call Ms. Lewis to come forward to give you background information on the one appeal that you do have before you tonight.
Good evening. I've laid a packet in front of you with Board of E&R information in front of you. And we have one scheduled appointment tonight, which is Ms. Johnson. She is located at 95 Rollwood Drive. My packet begins with my recommendation and an overview of the property appeal. It says appellate basis for appeal was prior errors in tax assessments. Property values are not in line with surrounding properties. SSI income is insufficient to pay the taxes amount owed, and the county and fire rate assessments process is, and that's a typo, discriminatory. Assessment staff has examined the property and determined it was valued in accordance with our scheduled values, but we also noticed that we incorrectly removed the unfinished added back in 2013. So this correction will be made, which will cause an increase of value by $6,142. The main reason for the increase from 2020 was due to the appellate's adding a 280 square foot sunroom and a 440 square foot carport attached. At an estimated cost of $26,740. That information came from the building permit. The appellate also provided no certified opinion of value. The comps of surrounding property that were provided were reviewed, but none were equitable to the subject property. My recommendation is to set the new value of $151,963 as the 2020 taxable value. And Ms. Johnson is here to speak on her behalf. I'm not sure if you have any questions for me or if you want to hear Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, the 2020 value of 145, you're taking the 151.
Yes, ma'am. Because upon her her appeal, we reviewed the property tax records. If you look at the pictures, she has a 2-story home that in 2013, she brought to our attention that second story was not finished. We had been taxing it as finished, and we reduced that value at that time. We didn't just reduce that value, we removed that whole upper story. That upper story should have been adjusted to a finished attic, an unfinished attic, not removed it altogether. So there's 1,000 square foot of her home that's not been taxed since 2013. And so I'm recommending making that correction now to the way it should have been since 2013, which would increase her value another $6,142.
We're going back as since 2013 or just this 1 year?
Just this 1 year is my recommendation, yes ma'am. We can go back to 2013, but I'm choosing to just do the 2020 value.
Any other questions? Any questions of the board?
The intent of the property owner was to reduce the value that's been assessed.
That's right.
And when we reviewed it, opened up kind of a can of worms, found out there was property had not been captured before,
That's correct.
and the value goes up.
That's correct. In the history, she did come in and appeal the value in 2013, like I said, and let us know that that property or that upper story was being taxed incorrectly. When we do a revaluation, we do not have the opportunity to go inside the home and view that. So when you see 3 windows on the top story with curtains hanging in them, you assume that that is a finished structure. And she did not bring that to our attention at 2009 reval. She brought that to our attention in 2013, which was adjusted. And by our mistake, it appears that that upper story was deleted instead of adjusting to a finished upper story attic, or unfinished upper story attic.
I have a question. Remind me, when's our next reevaluation, county?
2025.
I would say we leave the value where it is.
Hold it. We need to hear from Ms. Johnson. She's here.
All right, Ms. Johnson.
Good evening, sirs, madams. Thank you for allowing this opportunity to come before you. I wanted to start off with that last comment that Ms. Lewis made. That was an error that was corrected back in probably 2002, 2003. I don't remember her name, Jeannie or somebody like that. She was charging me for that attic, which only thing it has is boards so that you can walk from this window to that window. And that's all it has. It's not, I don't know how you get it that you can charge somebody for you can't do anything with it. It's just boards. And they are not even nailed together. It's just one board that goes from one end of the house to the other so that you can get to the windows and to the ceiling lines. But Jeannie deducted that from the taxes. If you look at the information that I gave you way back when, you'll see that my tax values have gone from like 86,000, they went up to 117,000, then they went back down to 107,000, then they went up to another 117,000, and it has been fluctuating to the point that you're talking about $43,000 difference from the point that I have been in this house up until the present time. I want to know why. Well, you know, where's this valuation coming from? Because the only thing that I've done to the house was added this room and a car shelter. That's what it should be, a car shelter. It has 3 open sides and it's attached to my house, which makes the 4th side. So that's a car shelter. But anyway, that's the only thing that I've done, and that was in 2019. So where is this additional $44,600 and some dollar evaluation coming from on my house that started out with $83,000? Where's it coming from? I don't understand it. They have assessed me with 1,665 square foot of space at my house. This includes the new addition. My taxes at this time is $1,638 a year. That's for 1,665 square foot of space. There's something wrong. And I say there's something wrong because when I look, there's not a fair administration of the tax codes. I guess that's how I should say it. Let me go back and start at the beginning. Please forgive me. I am a little bit nervous. I do not stand to contest the property tax program and its concept. I stand to contest the administration and implementation of the tax program. I fully understand that law enforcement, fire, social services, schools, and other entities depend upon the collection of taxes. My concern is that the adoption of a tax rate of 95 cents is more detrimental to our county than its benefits to the citizens. Families, particularly young families, can't afford to live where the tax rate for an average home site, and that's what I have, is an average home site. Nothing extravagant, 3 bedrooms, bath, kitchen. I mean, I don't have anything extravagant. It might look nice from the outside because I try to make it look nice from the outside, but that's all I got. I don't have anything extravagant. But anyway, it's an average home site. It's more, and right now, my taxes, if I put it on a monthly basis, it's gonna cost me $136.50 a month. This is for an addition that I saved my money. I'm a retired senior citizen. I saved my money so that I could buy this car shelter, so that I would not have to get out of my car in the rain and in the snow, and so that I would have something to put it under. I don't think it's extravagant. When I look around me in my neighborhood, and just about everybody in my neighborhood got 2-car garages. They got swimming pools. They got paved driveways. I have crush and run in my driveway. I don't have a 2-car garage. I don't have any kind of garage. Yeah, but the assessment on their homes is less than mine. One person that's in my neighborhood is really close to me. My home, my neighbor has a home value of $145,821. But she got an exemption of $71,621. Why? Her house is bigger than mine. I know, I've been in it. She got a 2-car garage. I've been in it. You know, I don't understand why. But anyway, on March the 29th, I viewed a WITN news broadcast in which Wendell was chosen as the best place to live. During an interview with the new residents, they stated that property tax rates played a role in their decision on where to locate. To me, there is a concern when our county has a tax rate that is the second highest in the whole entire state of North Carolina. The second highest in the whole entire state of North Carolina. Stockton County with a rate of 1% is the highest, and Northampton County is the third highest at .915. Does this not make you stop and ask why? Why are we not competitive with surrounding counties? Wilson has a .73, Nash County has a .67, Martin County has a .81, Pitt County has a .73, and even Halifax is at .77. Why? Research from data at USA shows that in all surrounding counties, the largest part of the population pays less than $800 to $14.99 for taxes. Mine is $1,683. I feel that discriminatory practices are embedded in the administration of tax assessment, that there is racial inequity, and intentional data misrepresentation. Let me start with this. The tax department data shows the base area of my house as being 1,665 square feet. But my home plan shows 1,579 square feet. I don't know if you need to see that, but there it is, right in that box, right there. That's one thing. There's one thing that, you know, like she was saying a while ago, you know, they did that wrong, but they've done several things wrong. This is a home that I transferred to as a result of Hurricane Floyd in 1999 because I was flooded out, lost everything. The county valuation process has taken the value of my home from $86,041 up to $130,766 as of 12/17/19. Why? That is a $44,725 increase when nothing has been added except in 2019 when an assessed value increase of $21,867 was done. Why the big difference? I've had numerous concerns such as this. I was initially erroneously assessed for taxes on an unfinished, unfloored attic. In 2015, the county tax office had $801.60 taken from my paycheck for taxes that had already been paid in December. These are the stubs.
Have you been refunded that?
They refunded this money back in April of 2016. I think it was 2016, might have been 2015, but they refunded it with 2 payments. They wouldn't even give it back to me all at one time. They did 2 payments, one in March and one in April. But my taxes had already been paid way back in December. And I'm wondering, now when you're crediting this money to my account, do you not see that it's already paid? Why? There was another instance in which I went to pay my taxes, but noticed an error. I asked for the correct amount so that I could go ahead and pay, but was told in a very rude manner that I needed to just pay what I was told and that they would correct it whenever they got a chance. And they had enough time, they have all the computers and stuff there. All they had to do was recalculate it. I pay my taxes in full every December. All I wanted to do was to pay my taxes in full. And they couldn't even do that. They wanted me to pay something that they knew was wrong and then wait until they got ready to correct it to give me back my money. But I'm already looking at, well, you done took $800 out of my check. It's very frustrating process. When it comes to the most recent assessment, increasing my home value to $146,766 and my taxes to $1,638. A large majority of my neighbors have much larger square footage. They have swimming pools, 2-car garages, etc. They have added on rooms, shelters, rooms for their dogs, 2,500 square feet barns. But their assessed values is either less than mine or within a $5,000 range of mine. Why? Something's wrong with me. Because of your assessed value is low, because this is my answer to the why. Because if your assessed value is low, your taxes are low. It does not matter how many thousands of square feet you have, then they assess a value based on the year you built, which could have someone with a 3,000 square foot home that happens to be fortunate enough to have money or land a year or two before me, then they would have a lower tax rate. This is discriminatory as it relates to race, knowing that the majority of the land owned and sold in Edgecombe County belong to whites. So they already got an advantage. I didn't have nobody to give me no land. I had to pay for my land. And I had to wait until I could work many, many years, you know, to be able to afford a home. So why am I discriminated against? Because I didn't have enough money at the same time that you get money to buy a home. It's discriminatory. They gave, in regards to the land, it belonged to whites. I'm not racist. Don't mean this negative to y'all, okay? But I'm just trying to show you a point. And y'all know it. The majority of Edgecombe County was farmland. The majority of Edgecombe County was owned by whites. You parcel it out when your parents and stuff died, or you know, when you got in the need for money, they, you know, that's what they did with the land. But anyway, this caused blacks to be disenfranchised. Also, the younger homeowners end up paying a higher rate for less home, the same, and they get the same amount of services from the county and the same dirt. So, even though I'm young, I got to go here and pay for this much more for my 2,000 square foot home than you did for a 3,000 square foot home. And every year you pay less for your 3,000 square foot home than I do for my 2,000 square foot home. Something's wrong. Also, blacks have the highest poverty rate and the lowest income rate in Edgecombe County. I'm discriminated against because of my age, because I am not old enough to have bought a home 2 years sooner than I did, and also discriminated against because my income didn't reach the point that I could buy a home as soon as my white counterparts and neighbors. These are my last examples. This is public information, and I didn't do this to be mean, I just did this to prove a point. This Ralph Webb. This Webb has a house with a square footage of 2,988. That's his square footage. And it comes with 1.7 acres. And he has an assessed value of $1,062,658. $1,062,658. A value of $15,892 greater than mine. Yet he has 1,323 square foot more space than I do. His tax bill, if that's correct, is $1,545.25, which is less than my $1,638. I had an increase, he had an increase in square footage of 720. So he got 720 more square feet than I do. Miss Viola Harris, don't mean to pig, but her tax value, $136,694. Square footage of 1,980. That's 315 more square footage than what I got. Now, if this is correct, when you do your tax bill, you pay $1,298.59. I'm paying $1,638 and I only got 1,665 square feet. Reverend Hines, tax assessed value, $87,177, and you got square footage of 2,639. That's 974 greater square feet than what I got. But your tax bill, if it's correct, with that piece of property, it's $828.18.
That's wrong.
His house was built in 1400.
Exactly.
But he's on the same dirt in Edgecombe County that I live on. He get the same services in Edgecombe County that I did. He paid for the same fire department, same police department, everything that I had to pay for in tax, he should be having to pay for it. Why do I have to pay more? Because I'm younger and because I bought my house at a later date. Why do I have to pay more?
Did you add my city taxes to that?
I knew that you paid city taxes, but I'm talking about county tax rate, because that's what applies to me. Mr. Donald Boswell. Okay, your value is 144,886 with a square footage of 2,348. That's 683 square feet that is greater than mine. But your tax bill is $1,376. Mine is $1,638. Ms. Teresa Lewis, her assessed value, $94,041. Her square footage is 2,062 square feet.
That's not my square footage.
If it's correct, your tax bill, what you paying
Please
taxes?
hold your phone. Please hold. Okay.
It's $893.86. My point is this, that your house is bigger than my house. That's my point. If that square footage ain't right to the penny or to the number, your house is bigger than my house. That's my point. And my point is this, is why am I paying so much more in county taxes than all these folks in these great big houses with garages and swimming pools and decks and all this stuff? Why am I paying more? Why are we paying more in Edgecombe County and we don't have any more services? We don't have any more businesses. All the surrounding counties got a low rate. Why? What is the reason why? And you know, I felt some kind of way when Ms. Lewis came up here, because what she did is what she has done to me over this whole period of time. Every time I go in there to ask a question about my taxes, or why is it like this, or give me some questions, she does something to try to increase my taxes, which is what she's done today. She's done the very exact same thing. So my question is, was your employee, I don't even know if it was your employee, but the person that was in that office, the assessor that did my taxes back then, she said that that walkway in the attic shouldn't be up there. She reduced it. Can you explain to me how my tax is gonna go from 86,000 up to 143,000? Now, I ain't done that. I haven't added anything until 2019. How? Tell me how. I think something's wrong. The only thing I'm saying is it needs to be looked at. There's too many discrepancies. It's really discrimination based on age. It's discrimination based upon at what point in time, you know, you bought a house. It's not fair. It's just not fair for you to pay anything less than what I pay if your house is 2 times as big as mine, but I'm paying more than you are just because your mama gave you some property and you were able to build a house about 10 years before I could build mine. It's not fair. Why is everybody not assessed the same thing? Why the fire department cut things different? Down here, they just built a new fire department, and we're having to pay a 106.106 for the fire district tax. That's the highest fire district tax in Edgecombe County. Why? Do all the fire departments belong in Edgecombe County? If they do, how come all the taxes ain't the same? I didn't have a decision, I didn't have a choice as to where that fire department was gonna go. So now, to me, it's unfair for you to assess me all this money for your new fire department, but yet if something happened, this fire truck gonna go anywhere in Edgecombe County, they can see something's wrong. I think you need to look at it. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board? I have a question for Ms. Lewis.
Is it okay if I stand here and spread all that out so I can answer from here?
She stated exemptions, that she said a comparison. Are there any exemptions that she might qualify for that she didn't request?
The senior citizen and disability exemption and veterans exemption applications are taken every January 1st to June 1st. There is an income requirement and a residency requirement. Every citizen is notified of that by advertisement, and they have that same opportunity to apply for that exemption every year.
Yeah, my question, were there any that she might?
She has not applied or received
Is
it.
there any that she qualifies for?
We don't know.
We don't
she
know
applies.
until she submits the application.
Well, Ms. Johnson, I would suggest that
That
you-
application deadline was today. But you can approve a late application if she would.
Can we run upstairs and get her one so she can fill it
I
out?
have one right here, ma'am.
Well, I would suggest that it's our responsibility also, in terms of what citizens might qualify for, to make sure that they know.
Right.
Okay, so when we do.
I agree. And I brought an application.
When we do have applicants, and especially if they're applicants, then we do need to have that kind of conversation with them in terms of what they might qualify for. And so I think our job is to be as helpful as we can, especially when we got appellants, in terms of, these are the things that, have you done this and have you done this? These are the things that that I know we should do. I'm not saying that we don't do it. Those are some of the things that you appear to have a point.
Oh, I agree with you, Mr. Chair.
You have, go right ahead.
I wondered that, when did she say her house was originally built?
She didn't, can I just
Well,
address
that's
it?
valued at 86,000, I want to know how far
Her-
back that went.
Her square footage was incorrect. Her square footage is total 1,945 square feet. Her value adjustments are showed in your packet. Her value was adjusted in 2008 because she added a storage. It was adjusted again in 2009 due to revaluation. It's adjusted again in 2013 because of the unfinished attic that was removed in error. It was adjusted again in 16 where she removed it to the utility room, and then adjusted again in revaluation, and then this year due to the addition. Ms. Richardson in 2003, I think, let me find that note.
Ms. Richardson will leave who then?
She is the appraiser that Ms. Johnson referred to, adjusting according to the blueprints. And that date of that change, if I can find that. Was done, according to Ms. Richardson, she did the corrections made to the property per the blueprint on 2003. Mr. Evans and I just looked at that. The blueprints do show an upper story attic on there, which we do not have that tax on your current property record card. It also shows a square footage of what she stated, but if you look at the dimensions and you multiply the total front footage of 50 foot by the total side footage of 43, which is how you calculate the square footage, it would actually come up to 2,100 square feet. That is according to the blueprint, 50 feet by 43 feet. That is what it says. We have it calculated, and you can look at your drawing on the property record card. We have it with the new, without the new addition, 40 foot by 37. You can't see that 37, but it's a 7 at the end of it. You can see the 3. Which is what calculates the total of the base area of 1665. It does not pick up the new square footage of 280 feet.
So what you seem to be saying is based on what she just gave you, she's gonna get some additional costs.
What I'm saying is when, according to 105.312, if I discover any errors in my listings, I have to correct those. Yes, sir.
That's until we look at whether she qualifies for the senior citizen discount.
The inability to pay your taxes does not constitute an appeal right. Your value is your value according to our statute.
And your ability to pay, we understand that.
And so her dollar amount after your rate is applied does not affect her actual value of your property. The things that come into play with value is the market, the square footage, the year built, the construction type, the number of bedrooms you have, the number of bathrooms you have. There's all types of variables in the appraisal method. To sit here and be able to compare each one of our homes to her home is not possible. That's why when you have an appraisal done, they have to look for 3 comparables in the market that have the least amount of adjustments for those type of things to become closest to that subject property. That is how you value your property. And just for the fact, my square footage was 1,435 square feet. 1,482 square footage, my garage is not heated, therefore it does not include in the heated square footage.
Your tax information online is wrong, because that's where I got my information from. It's
Well,
online.
we won't get into that tonight, but did you have any other questions?
I was just trying to figure out how much revale added to it.
Revale,
Excuse me, go ahead.
Revale added, it took it from 226 to 124,899. It brought it down at 2017 Revale. It brought it up from 97,683 to 133 in 2009. And shortly after the 2009 Revale is when the market fell, and we just, got to where that market was.
And you heard Ms. Johnson, and you heard tax assessor, and her recommendation is to approve what she has done. You heard Ms. Johnson. What is the position of the board? Any motion, any second motion? Well, I'll speak in terms of, I don't think I heard what Ms. Johnson said, but I've not heard in the statutory reason for us to give what she has stated consideration to. So I'm thinking that we need to accept the decision of the recommendation of our
I think I have one other question.
Go ahead.
When she came in to complain and gave you the comparable neighbors, did we do any kind of inspection and look at it?
We did, but she did not give us those comparables. She gave that to you guys in your letter that was presented before all the COVID stuff. I have compared that. I've taken and wrote notes of errors and stuff that is on that as well. The year bills were not listed, the square footages were not total, the construction type were not compared to, wasn't listed, so we went in and added some things, made some corrections to it. We did review them and look at them.
Is there anything that's been said here that we need for consideration, that even what we approve is, you still have the authority to find other errors and things to make those changes?
Yes, sir. In a revalue year, I would have the authority to adjust for any non-physical damage or any errors in my listings.
What is the position of the board?
Can I make one more statement?
Yes, ma'am, please come.
My statement is this. You got standards that you work with, but it's the application of the standards and the implementation of the policies and procedures and stuff that you put in place. That's why the country is at the place that we're at right today. The police department has standards, but you got one person or one department that does not follow the standards or does not apply the standards appropriately to everybody in an equitable way. So that's why we're at the place that we are right now in the country with all the looting and the destruction and everything going on. She makes her own decisions as it relates to how your tax code is going to be applied. I knew I didn't have a chance when I came in here, but I came anyway, wanted to give you the information so it would at least make you think about something is wrong. Our county has not advanced anywhere with this tax administration, with the way the taxes are being administered. You don't have any extra reserves. You don't have any extra nothing. We still are not one of the counties that in comparison with the surrounding counties. Why? There is a reason why. You have to live on your taxes, I understand that, but something is wrong. You're not getting enough taxes from some people, and you're getting too much from others. And I'm one of them others that you get too much from. Thank you.
Mr. Weaver, can I say that the schedule of values are voted on and adopted by the 7 of you and not myself? I just apply those schedules.
Any other comments from the board?
I've listened to everything Ms. Johnson said, and I've listened to everything Ms. Lewis said. The way I feel it shows our house value at $75 a square foot. I don't think there's any way possible to build that house for $75 a square foot. I would have to stand with the tax assessors.
Is that a motion?
So,
Do we have a second?
Second.
Question? The motion to adopt the tax assessor's recommendations. Question? All in favor, let it be known by the vote of aye. All opposed, hearing none, so it's approved.
Mr. Wiggins,
I still like, doing this, I still like to give Ms. Johnson some understanding of our volunteer fire departments and how they work.
Sure. And first I'll mention, just to make sure that she's aware, and you are aware as well, that she still has the opportunity to appeal this to the state as any appeal would. And so if she has a question about that, Ms. Lewis certainly will share that information.
But she makes a good point, and the point is that our citizens don't have the wherewithal, and we want our folks in the county to do anything we can to help our citizens through any of these processes, okay? Just help them through the process, and that's what I think we want to do in terms of, we're sitting here and we are pretty much depending on our experts, and our experts are department heads and our managers to give us this advice, and pretty much that's sometimes what we're bound by unless we see those exceptions there. Explain how because the fire departments are not necessarily county departments, and all of them do have different tax rates, and those tax rates come in based on what those, we have one in the budget that's requesting an increase that the manager has recommended that we don't, and they do have boundaries. Now, they might cross those boundaries if a fire gets out of control, but you have a principal fire department that district would set up its own, request their own tax rate, and we only vote on that to approve it if that department requests it, and that comes from your volunteer fire department. Am I right on that?
That's correct. Each of the fire departments are independent organizations. They are all volunteer fire departments, though some of them will may have paid staff. They are independent of the county. They have their districts that are established within the county. They do have different fire tax rates, and oftentimes that depends on what the tax rate originally was, what their cost of providing service, values of properties within that district. They have the opportunity each year to request of this board to raise that tax. As you mentioned, Mr. Wiggins, we did have one this year that made that request. They have to show adequate justification for the need for that. And you heard earlier, there was a recommendation to not honor that request in that particular fire department. The other thing I'll mention is regarding the county's high tax rate, and that's something that we certainly have been aware of for a long time and brought to our attention quite often. Certainly something that we realize that, long term for the county, we do need to work on that as we can. One of the challenges that we have is, if you look at us compared to some other counties, is that we have still all of the same services that have to be provided. In some cases, more so, depending on the population. But yet our overall property values are lower than counties that surround us. Plus, some counties that surround us have received more in sales tax to help supplement the cost of doing business as a county. So unfortunately, we're in this position, but we totally agree with you that that is something that we do need to work on. Our strategy for doing that is trying to raise property values in the county, particularly by economic development opportunities. The more larger businesses that we have to come and locate in the county that build our tax base, the more pressure it takes off of the rest of us taxpayers, including myself. And so we agree with you that we do have, obviously you mentioned we have the second highest tax rate in the state, and that's something that we hope to be able to work on in the long term. So thank you.
And you know, while you didn't call me out,
Me too.
mine too high too. So, and mine is really high, but it's a tax rate that I set because at the time I thought it was necessary to, and I think we threw Mr. Johnson.
But I just wanted to say that, you know, in considering the tax rate, you also need to consider the impact that the tax rate has on the homeowner other than the taxes that you have to pay. Because once this tax rate cause my value of my home to increase, then my homeowner's insurance increases. So now that's over $1,000 and some dollars. So, you know, it's more than what I get in my Social Security payment in terms of what I would have to pay out every month just to live in the county. Just to live in the county. Been here all my life. Always paid, try to help, do stuff, and I got to pay all this much money.
And there are many of us in similar positions as you, and we set that tax rate. What is my motion?
Motion to adopt the resolution for the 2020,
To adopt the resolution.
to finalize the values. I have a copy if you would like that. Mrs. Mungo has a copy for everyone's signature, but here's the resolution.
The motion is to finalize, give me that motion again.
To adopt the resolution as presented, which finalizes the value.
Is that a motion? Okay. You made that? Second? Did you get a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed? Hearing none, and we have to sign this, is correct?
Yes, sir. Ms. Mungo has a copy as well.
The motion now is to adjourn the Board of Equalization and Review.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
And reconvene as the Board of Commissioners. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed? We now stand as the Board of Commissioners scheduled appointments, Mr.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The first scheduled appointment that you have tonight, we have the Honorable Ms. Carol Allen White, clerk for Judge Walter Godwin, Judge Wayne Boyette, and I believe that Judge Wiggins is here as well. Welcome, sir. Who would like to speak to you tonight regarding a request for improvements at the courthouse.
Please come talk.
Judge Red is here talking as well.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon to all, and thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. As the manager indicated, we are here as your Edgecombe County Judicial Contingent. And when I say as your Edgecombe County Judicial Contingent, we are all residents and citizens of Edgecombe County. However, we serve throughout the entire Tri-County Judicial District, which includes Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties, as well as Judge Godwin and myself. We are Superior Court judges, so we have a statewide duty as well. We came here, myself and Clerk White came and addressed you during your budget retreat. And we apologize for not giving you something a little bit sooner. We realize that you're into your budget process, but we have all had to deal with a number of exigent circumstances related to pandemic concerns and operations and continued operations of the court system, because contrary to popular belief, the court system has never been shut down. We have been operating on a limited basis. We have not held regular court sessions, but we actually have been holding court sessions. When we last came to you during your last budget session, we indicated that we would be coming back and we would be asking you to address some specific concerns, and we would be asking for a specific budget request. Now, I want to give you a little bit of background as to the process that we went through. And pre-pandemic, quite candidly, we were looking to come to you with a request that was in excess of $250,000+, and I say that was pre-pandemic. We had gone through the process of getting some estimates for furnishings, even some work that we desired to have done at the courthouse. And post-pandemic, and which is where we are right now, we understand that there are going to be a number of unforeseen and unforecasted budgetary impacts, and we have adjusted our budget request accordingly. And what I've done and what I've handed to you is a series of priorities and a budget request. The first one that you have, the first one that you see before you is facility issues. There are a number of the HVAC and the mold issues still persist. We understand that the county staff is making the efforts are ongoing to address those issues, but we want to and we need to keep those at the forefront of your consideration, because today is the first day of June and we are going into July. It is imperative that we have the HVAC system up and running as soon as possible. We are under a mandate right now. I say prospective mandate because it's still being discussed. Whereas we are to the extent possible, get in a position where we can begin to hold jury trials at or after August the 3rd of this year. But right now, unless we move with some degree of dispatch, again, HVAC, mold, and it's even my understanding that hot water within the building is an issue and a concern as well. We are not going to be in a position where we are going to be able to do that unless we begin to address those with the utmost dispatch. And quite frankly, if we don't address the facility issues, the mold, the HVAC, there are a number of active roof leaks, or water leaks, I should say. Don't necessarily know if they're coming from the roof, but there are water leaks, and we're going to be in a position where it is going to be difficult, if not impossible, to hold court in that building, and we're going to have to seek out some other alternatives for doing that. That is part of one of the Chief Justice's mandates that's being discussed coming out of the Chief Justice's COVID-19 task force. And quite frankly, I've already begun and we intend to have some conversations. I say we because you have every last judge here that is a part of the judicial process in this county here this evening. We're going to have to begin to look at some other alternatives, and we have begun to start to think about maybe even larger facilities such as the community college facilities, or even some other larger spaces where we can have larger groups of people, where we can have social distancing issues. In the request that you have in front of you, it says at the discretion of the county commissioners and the county manager. It is mentioned there again. We thank you for everything that you have done to address it, but it is imperative that we get all of those issues addressed with the utmost dispatch. The second priority that we have is courtroom technology. The way that we have been doing a number of sessions post-pandemic is, or even during pandemic, is because we're not in post phase yet. We're still in the pandemic phase. We have been doing it remotely. In a neighboring county, we have been holding court sessions, at least in the Superior Court realm, where we have not had to move one detainee at all from the detention center. We have done it completely remotely, and we have done in one given week, we have disposed of 30+ cases, all in custody detainees, in the span of 2 working days, working 4 solid hours one day and 4 solid hours the next day. And we've done it all remotely. You have the clerk, the judge, court reporter, probation officer sitting in the courtroom, and then the detainees and their attorneys are sitting at the detention center, and we're alternating back and forth between rooms disposing of cases. So we've done that. We haven't had to move a single detainee, and we have even done some proceedings. And when I say some proceedings, probable cause hearings, bond hearings, even some civil motions hearings where the parties have agreed that they can be heard remotely. Having that ability to do that in the courtroom will lead towards density minimization, because we don't have to have all those people coming into the courtroom and coming into the courthouse. It will allow us to use screen mirroring with our laptop computers, all of which we have been assigned by the administrative office of the courts. And it also ensures the openness of the courtroom, because constitutionally we have to keep the courtrooms open. In the context that I have done in a neighboring county, where we had victims, where we had witnesses and other interested parties, what we necessarily did is have them come into the courtroom. They could hear, they could listen, but we also need them to be able to see as well. And if we had this ability, not only could we screen mirror from our laptops, but we could also have the ability to have the public to be able to see the entire proceedings where everybody's actually located at. Pandemic-related issues. We have some issues with regard to the continuous sanitizing, with emphasis on social distancing, appropriate staff as far as maintenance personnel, supplies, and we even need to be moving towards the thought process in mind of reconfiguring our courtrooms with social distancing in mind, so that we can begin to have jury trials in the courtroom, and also investigating the viability of installing a commercial aerosol-based healthcare disinfectant system throughout the courthouse. You know, when I say aerosol-based, it missed its time. Some of the more advanced systems have the ability to aerosol the mist based on the load, based on the numbers of people counts, even BTUs of people that are coming into the building, and it missed accordingly. We have to at least begin to investigate the viability of that, because again, this building, the courthouse, has more traffic coming in it than any other building that you have in the county, without a doubt. And if you have on any given Monday where you have a superior court session, where you have the grand jury, you have the petty jury, you have the litigants and the individuals that have matters before the court, you have the attorneys, you have the clerk staff, you have the district attorney staff, you have the sheriff's department staff, and any number of other individuals. It puts a serious and significant load on that building. The fourth priority that we have is furnishing, painting, upfitting the public areas, and we had limited public areas. When we initially started this process, we had gone out and gotten estimates with regard to furnishing all of the offices throughout the entire courthouse. We scaled it back to just the public areas, the areas that the public necessarily sees. It has been probably at least 15 to 20 plus years since the courthouse itself, at least I can recall, has actually been painted. I think that when it was done, it was actually done by a DOC crew at Family Correctional Center. I remember seeing them moving throughout the building some years ago. So I know at least they did a portion, if not all, of the painting when it was the last time that it was done. But with regard to the clerk's office, refurnishing, painting, installing, providing social distance shielding on both criminal and civil division. We have $60,000 in there now. We have definite quotes on the furniture itself. We've called in an individual who's a supplier. We have definite quotes on that. Quite frankly, as to the paint and maybe even some LED lighting upgrades, we probably couldn't do all of that with social distance shielding. We're also seeking out some other alternatives to possibly help with that. We reached out to the administrative office of the courts with regard to maybe helping us with that. Madam Clerk is also exploring the possibility of actually applying for a grant with the Governor's Crime Control Commission. So we're actively seeking out other alternatives in an effort to move towards this goal and assist the county with other resources to the extent that we can and to the extent possible. But we have $60,000 as far as that particular goal or priority is concerned. The presiding Superior Court Judge's office, which is the office in the rear of the Superior Court room, where basically the presiding Superior Court Judge comes in and sets up for the better part of a week. And just to give you an overview, when we say the presiding Superior Court Judge, more often than not, Judge Godwin and myself are not the presiding Superior Court judges in Edgecombe County. We live here, but all Superior Court judges are in a statewide rotation. We're moving into what we call a home rotation, where we'll actually be home, and as a result of the pandemic, most if not all of the Superior Court judges have been taken off the road. But I know that come January 2020, I will actually be in a Durham rotation, where I'll be driving back and forth to Durham almost every week for 6 months. At least 3 to 4 days a week, if not more. So we have a visiting individual that comes into the county, and we need to make sure that that space is as comfortable and as pleasant as it can be. It provides for refurnishing, painting, carpeting, and LED lighting upgrade in that space, $6,000. The district attorney's office, the only thing they've asked for is 3 chairs for 3 administrative assistants, and they have a victim's room that they want to furnish with new furniture, social distance shielding, $4,000. And then the resident Superior Court judge's reception area, that's just where the judicial assistant sits only. There are actually 1, 2, 3 separate office spaces in the resident Superior Court judge's office. And we're just asking to upfit that area with some new equipment, new furniture, carpet, so that it's basically a good working environment. We had put some other things in, but again, this is conservative. We scaled it back significantly because we understand that we are in a pandemic phase right now. We understand that some of this could go over, but at least if we have something to begin to work with, we think that we can make significant strides with this particular application. And while I'm in my presentation, I want to mention one other technology issue too that I didn't go through. I think it's in the notes that I presented. It's my understanding, the sheriff is here, he may be able to give some light on this, but for purposes of remote conferencing, we're using an application called WebEx. It's the court system's preferred method of teleconferencing. And it's my understanding that one of the detention officers at the detention center has actually been using a personal laptop to facilitate the WebEx conferences. I've actually been sitting in Wilson County, and we've had a hearing where I'm sitting on the bench in Wilson County, but we have a detainee in the Edgecombe County Detention Center, and we've done it by remote teleconference. But that detention center employee has actually been using their personal equipment to facilitate that. We need at least 3 laptops at the detention center assigned to the detention center so that we can make that seamless, so that we can have 2 rooms, one with a computer, we move back and forth between the 2 rooms, and then we have one laptop in the backup in case one goes down. But our request is $100,000. We would ask that you give us the utmost consideration with regard to that particular request, understanding that we have scaled it back significantly. There has not been a request of the commissioners from the court system administrators in a significant period of time. And this would be the first in a number of years that court system administrators have ever come to the commissioners and quite frankly ask for anything directly. So again, we would ask that you give us your utmost consideration, consider our request, and at this point in time, I would open the floor to any questions that the commissioners may have of me or any of the court system administrators that are in the room. And again, by way of introduction, you have Judge Britt, who is actually the senior in terms of service, the senior district court judge in this particular district, the Tri-County District in terms of service. You have Judge Boyette, Judge Godwin, who is the senior resident Superior Court judge, as well as Clerk White, who is one of the longest serving clerks in this state. So you have a big and a wealth of experience here.
Any questions, comments from the board?
Question.
Go ahead.
Now, I heard you say that you had got some quotes for furniture. Have you already enlisted any quotes for painting?
We have not done that, and the reason that we have not done that is because in the context of the quotes for the painting and those other physical improvements that would actually be within the building, I don't know what your county process is. Normally what would happen, it would be a request for proposals that would be handled by your in-house purchasing agency. And then as far as letting a particular provider or vendor to do the service, then it would move forward within the scope of that process. Now, if for some reason we were given the latitude to actually handle the process ourselves, quite frankly, I think that if we were in a position where we were allowed, there was some type of way where we were allowed to seek out contractors and vendors outside of the scope of that process, quite frankly, I think we could save the county a lot of money. I've seen some of the requests for proposals that have come through by virtue of that process, and I would say, I know that we can do much better if it was handled independently. So, no, we have not gotten quotes as to the actual labor itself, but again, I've touched on the process.
Mr. Wu?
Mr. Evans, some of these requests, such as shields and pandemic related, some of that federal money we discussed a week or two ago may be available for that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think between, you'll recall when at the budget work session, I presented our capital improvement request. I included in that, if you'll remember, because of the uncertainty of the pandemic and its impact on our revenues, that I pulled out a list of items that I've asked you to reconsider come July 1. On that list includes $50,000 for various improvements at the courthouse. So come July 1, we'll bring that back to the board. But then also, as you mentioned, the county has been approved to receive, in fact, we've actually received it, a little over $1 million to do a number of different types of things related, that's eligible under this COVID-19 CARES Act funding from the federal government that's coming through the state. A number of these items that you got listed here would be eligible things under that funding. So I think between the $50,000 that we'll look at in July and the COVID-19 funding, we'll probably be able to come pretty close to most of the items on this particular list.
If I remember right, in our proposed budget, we had $45,000 set aside for the 1912 building. 1912 building, we were going to do some work on it just in case it was overflow. I propose that we go ahead and move that $45,000 to this request right now as part of our budget. And then based on what you're saying about the $50,000 and the federal money, we could surely cover the difference.
Yeah, and if I could address the 1912 building at the appropriate time.
Well, I may know where you're heading. I'd much rather take care of what you're working in right now than where you think you may need to be working in.
Yeah, and I understand that, but for future purposes, the 1912 building needs some upfit, but it has been discussed on a number of occasions. In the event that there is another exigent or weather-related or act of God or impact on the court system building, then we need some place that we can go that's already upfitted and that we can move
Right here.
in, okay? And here is not an issue. But what we are talking about when I say if we can move, that we can move into an entire building, if we have another issue where we have to completely vacate the courthouse. And that would be a location that we can do that in. And also the 1912 building has brand new elevators, it has some bathrooms that are in good shape. It could even be a possible location for some expanded courtroom space, especially on the second and the third floor, because there's nothing but space marked by partition. So it's just a thought to put out there.
Was I correct with the 45?
Actually, it's 25, so under that same category of referring to as hold until July 1st, I have included $25,000 for upfit of the 1912.
Well, let me ask a question in terms of, could the CARES Act money be used for the 1912 building? So what I'm saying is we need to use the CARES Act money.
I say we use all the CARES Act money we can get.
Right.
There's no doubt. And that's why I was proposing that we move 45 now, give them some money now, not just, hey, we'll take another look at it after we pass the budget. I'm trying to give them some money now from what we're talking about. And I'm not proposing the whole $100,000 request because there is CARES Act money.
Right, and we certainly can look at that. We do have to be careful that, you know, it comes with a whole list of things that the can-dos. We have to make sure that it easily fits into one of those categories, because sometime down the road after this money is spent, we'll be audited, just like every other county likely will be audited. And we have to be able to justify. So I'm saying, I think we can look at that. I think these other, protective barriers, the putting in mechanism make for more remote adjudication of cases, those kinds of things easily fit into the COVID-19 money. That might be, we have to look more closely.
I think we'll be able to use the CARES Act money for at least the building that we occupy.
Right.
And not necessarily for a vacant building.
Right.
Okay, so I think we need to give consideration to the use of the CARES Act money.
I think you and I are on the same page. I'm just trying to get in our budget that we pass in the month of June, effective July 1st, money for them now, and not waiting to go back and look at it later. Two, I just believe, and I don't know this to be fact, is that the CARES Act is not going to pay more than 50% of what it's asking for. Or do you think it may come in? I mean, what they're asking for, I just did the math, is $76,000 in the furnishings, paintings, upfitting, so forth. Only shielding was mentioned in a item. If we can go ahead and earmark $45,000 in this budget that we passed in the month of June, and then the balance hopefully will come from the CARES Act.
I don't have no opinion. Any other thoughts?
My only question is, are there other things also the county can CARES Act will take care of, or help us take care of? I'm sure there are quite a few things.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't want to over-delegate what monies we have that we don't actually have.
Right, yeah, absolutely. This is a long list of things we have to take care of.
Is there any other opposition to what Ms. Williams said?
No, but I did want to ask the top part, where are we at HVAC? Because as I said, we're gonna hit 90 in the middle of this week.
Cool. And so if you'll remember, just to recall, when the mold was discovered in the larger part of the basement, the remediation involved removing insulation from around those pipes down there. Some of those pipes carry the water for our chiller system. And so as long as those pipes are unwrapped, you turn that back on, it starts to condensate, creates the problem again. So you've already approved the contract, that work has been well underway. They've gotten to the point now where though they're not 100% complete, they're at the point now that it becomes a time that it absolutely needs to be turned back on. It can. And so, we would love for it to be 100% complete, but I know we've got some warm days coming up. You're bringing larger groups of people.
Less than 7 days away. This weekend.
Oh, that's right. And I mean, really, had you had 100 people there today, it was 90 degrees and said turn on, we would have turned on. So we're at a point, long story short, we are at a point that we can turn that back on.
Go ahead, Mr.
Well, Mr. Reverend Hines,
Are these contracts that the work has not been completed, are they working on it now, or?
Yes, sir, we're working on it.
I'd like to make a comment. So this will be a system that's been reconstructed because of the mold issue. The pipes have been reworked, rewrapped, insulation, the mold remediation.
That's right.
It's been my knowledge that over my life, adult life, that the courtrooms have always been just a hot place in the summertime, even when our chiller unit's working fine. Why would we not consider some supplemental air that's placed into each courtroom space?
We have some portable units that were actually put in place there when we first had to turn down the system because of this work. So we do have some supplemental AC.
They're our units?
They're our units.
They're not rented or leased or anything?
No, sir.
Okay, I just know like these mini split systems you put on the wall, they're efficient, they work great, you know. If we just need to add 4, 5, 6, 8 per courtroom space to add to it, it might make a big difference.
And I would just say with those supplemental units, we appreciate everything that you're doing, but when you put a BTU load of hundreds of people in those rooms, there's still not enough to bring down.
Oh, understood.
that room. Okay, it's not enough cooling therms there to bring them down. We still need something that's gonna bring the courtroom down to where it is comfortable to work at all day long. And it's fine to come in the morning and the room is freezing because they have been on all morning. But once you get to midday, quite frankly, if you are us, the individuals who are sitting there and we're sitting up high and we're sitting in this black road, you know, we can't stand it once it gets to about 85 degrees or less. Some of us, depending upon what our physical condition may be, we can't do it.
I say we put a mini split right behind the judge's bench in every room.
I'm also concerned about these individuals working in their offices. They're pretty tight in there. I'm real concerned about making sure that HVAC is working properly because these ladies are there all day long.
Most
They're
certainly.
kind of tight in those offices.
And I would surrender before Clerk White because most of those individuals are her staff as well as the district attorney's staff.
It's probably going to work better than it has in 20 years because we've reworked the system.
Well,
New installation.
it appears that, excuse me, Madam Clerk, this man, in terms of what Mr. Wu was saying, in terms of where are we? Was there any consensus in terms?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He said we already got it. So we don't need to put it over to.
I propose that we make sure the budget has $45,000 earmarked to
Are you
reward.
saying, he's got $50,000 in it? Are you
I would
saying-
say move the money
In
over.
addition.
No, I'm saying that, you're saying additional?
Oh, no, you're right, I'm sorry. You've already got 50 for the courthouse?
To be revisited July 1.
Well, I'm trying to say we have.
You want to add that to the budget?
I want to,
that you
yes.
looked at?
And we're still looking at the CARES Act, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
And to be clear, are we talking about 50 and 45 for a total of 95 or are we talking just about 45?
We're talking about the 45 or 50 now in this budget, and the CARES Act money will hopefully bring it in to say another 50.
The other 55,
Do we have a forecast as to when we could expect or anticipate the CARES Act funding or monies to be available?
They have a budget amendment tonight to appropriate money we've already received.
We got it in the checking account. We got it.
Right, they've already sent it.
So that money is already available, it has not been appropriated, but once you receive that, you're in a position where you can put it into the budget for appropriation,
Yes,
correct?
there's a budget amendment tonight to put it in the current budget.
Okay, so basically that money is already available, correct?
Yes, and I believe our maintenance director, Mr. Denny's already been over to the courthouse. He's looked at some barriers that can be put in very softly. I'm waiting, he's talking to you and maybe some other offices, so that ball has already started.
So it appears to me that based on what Mr. Wooten is saying, and the CARES Act, that the court system would be close to where it is asking for. Okay.
Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, you can But sometimes you talk yourself out of it. Go ahead.
Got it, I went out.
Thank you so much. I am Carol Allen White, and I thank you so much for what you're doing, the chair and to the Board of Commissioners. I just want to add with that HVAC and the Honorable Viola, she is correct with our office. I understand too that the air conditioning is in the courthouse in the basement, but it's not per se working condition. And it is hot, it is muggy, we need it. We need it now, and also before it's turned on, we would need the vents to be cleaned because of the mold and because of the sitting and because of COVID-19. So that is my request for the HVAC. We need it now. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Any other judges?
I just want to say thank you. I appreciate, I'm Wayne Boyd, by the way. I just want to say thank you for what you are doing. I love to see democracy in action, and you've got a tough job. Everybody's got their hand out. There's not enough money to go around. So thank you for your consideration of the request that we have made. Judge Wiggins worked very hard to put this together and to pare it down to something that was reasonable. The clerk's space, honestly, is embarrassing to those of us who work in the court system with the desks that are there and the partitions that are there, that the legs are broken and they're leaning and the tops of the tables are kind of taped on. People come here from other counties and they look at this courthouse, and we want to be proud of this courthouse because we want more people who want to come to Edgecombe County to live and to work and to bring businesses. So thank you for all that you're doing. The last thing I'd like to say is I support the sheriff. Thank you for giving some money, to his office, to his deputies, because they desperately need that. Thank you very much.
Judge Riddick, Judge Donovan?
I'd just like to reiterate what Judge Wiggins said about the technology. That's right now our court system in the Superior Court is sitting in neutral. If we can get these laptops and get this monitor and other equipment that we need, we can start disposing of some cases that will keep Sheriff Atkinson from having to worry about contaminating his jail. He can keep everyone there. The lawyers can be tested, go in, make sure they're healthy. We can do some pleas, and we're not going to be able to get 100 and some people up there in that courtroom anytime soon to have jury trials or pick a new grand jury. The grand jury that's now in place is going to be going on for a right good while. And we are going to have to start doing court by technology. And that's my pet peeve, and thank y'all for listening to it.
Thank you for everything that you're doing, and I really do appreciate your approval of basically everything Judge Wiggins brought before you. We are really behind in what we need to do at the courthouse. The courthouse was built in 1964, and we're running the same air conditioning that was in it in 1964. I cannot tell you how many times I've come into that courthouse, and it has been absolutely unbearable. That I cannot hold court, I can't wear a robe, I have to have a fan beside of me. I went in there Monday morning, the little small unit had not been cut on. It had to be 80-some degrees in there. I've seen it 89 degrees in that courthouse. The humidity when it comes down is horrible. We've already been through having air pumped in there, which didn't work very well, but it was the best thing you could do at the time, and I understand that. But we are really worn out with this. And you're right, the clerk's office, those ladies stay there all day long. I go to Wilson more than I stay in Carver. And, I just don't know how to emphasize enough how much we have got to get control over the air ventilation system. And to make sure, like on a weekend, sometimes the heat will run all weekend long in the winter, and you come in there and you cannot breathe, and it's freezing outside. So we're throwing the windows up. And it has got to be regulated better. It's got to be in a working condition. And this mold has got to go. Because I have told people that have worked at that clerk's office, one of them retired in 2002 after the original flood in 99. And she said, I had a persistent cough the whole time I was there. And after 6 months of retirement, that cough went away. And she worked there and she retired there. And I'm not going to drop her name, but she's a very valuable employee to the clerk's office over the years. And that is the experience these clerks are having. Some of them, I know Tracy Whitehurst has been in a room where there is not a window. And you can look at the ceiling above her desk and see black mold on the ceiling. And, you know, rubbing those tiles, cleaning those tiles does good on the surface, but you're not going to get in every little crevice and crack in those, you know, tiles that you put in the ceiling. And so I really feel like it's a health hazard to a lot of people in this courthouse, from top to bottom. And I think that before we do anything else, we need to get that straight, first and foremost, because people were fanning like this. And when I went in there Monday morning, I was like, I understand it is hot as it can be, and I got them out of there just as quick as I could. And I had to vacate myself, because I can't even sit in my own office. It's that hot. And if anybody disagrees with me, I would like to hear it, but I invite you to go sit in that courtroom and see what it's like, because it is unbearable. And we're tired of it. And I thank you for everything that you're doing. I know that our county is a poor county, but we can do better than this, and we've got to have a safe place for people to work and for the public to come in and out. And I mean, if it's not safe, then it's not fair. I mean, it's never been this comfortable in that courtroom as it is sitting here right now. So, thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You got a question. Yes. Ms. Rogers.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. She is on my phone, so Jason could.
Go ahead.
So you'll see item B under scheduled appointments with Janelle Rogers. She is the Executive Director, CEO of Need Incorporated, to present an application for CARES Act funding. Need Incorporated has the opportunity to receive federal funding through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES Act. Included in your packet is their application for funding, including the following. Need Incorporated is required to distribute a copy of the plan to you prior to its submission. Ms. Rogers is available by phone to answer questions that you may have. I just want to check. Ms. Rogers, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Well, it appears that this funding is just funding that all we need to do is make it available for us to review.
Yes, and you're welcome to ask questions or make any comments.
Are there any questions of the amount of this? I'm looking at it.
It's $679,438. Is that correct, Ms. Rogers?
That is correct. And $212,562 is allocated for Edgecombe County.
Okay. Any questions of Ms. Rogers? Hearing no questions, it appears that you presented your budget to us, and we have no opposition to that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And any questions, Ms. Rogers? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Rogers. You hear me, Ms. Rogers?
Yes, If there's a question being answered, I can't hear it.
I said, thank you, there appear to be no questions of us. So unless you have some comments you want to make, I think we can say we thank you for the application, thank you for making those funds available for our county. Did you hear me?
I did not hear you clearly again, Eric.
Yes.
Eric, can you repeat that?
Sure. So Mr. Wiggins was just saying that there are no questions from any of our board members tonight, and unless you have anything to add, any comments you want to make, the board thanks you for preparing this application and bringing these funds to the county.
Awesome. I just need a vote that they accepted it, please.
All right.
Is there a motion that we accept this? Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let me know by the vote side aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is accepted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is Sheriff Hackett.
Good late evening.
Yeah, kept you a little longer than.
Yes, sir, that's okay. I just want to thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Wu, Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Barton, Mr. Hines, Mr. Harris, Mr. Webb. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Mark. I know it's not easy, and we do this together. But it's time. And I won't hold you guys long, but it's time. Yes, I was listening to your words, some profound words. We have to take baby steps. But we've been taking baby steps for 12 or 23 years, and it's time to move forward. I don't know if any of you guys ever stood and you started looking at what's going on in America right now. But I've been scared before on the front lines. I've sat downtown Raleigh, what you're seeing right now, by looking on cell phones right back in the back. I stood between Capitol buildings when a wave of 500 people are coming at you, and you're shaking in your boots and you're scared. I sat down there when hate groups came downtown Raleigh, guarded the governor's mansion, protected DNC, slept on the Panther Stadium cement for 5 days, riot gear, shaking in your boots. Last night, we were shaking in our boots of how we're going to protect Edgecombe County. Thank you. But it's time. The reason why I asked for 6,000 for detention, the reason why I asked for 7,000 for deputies, it still puts us at the bottom in the area. No more than anyone else. It just puts us at the bottom. It catches us up. Inheritance is tough. We still won't surpass anybody because everybody else is going up. But last night, my whole team of 57 deputies, we were shaking in our boots. I called everybody in. Those on vacation, those with the day off, everybody come to the sheriff's office because we have to protect everybody in here and citizens. This is why I request what I request. My job was to protect the citizens and not leave Chief Webb hanging. Because he didn't have many men, but I had 57. We got requests from Sheriff Dance. We got requests from the Chief of Police. We got requests from Chief Hopkins and Wilson. I said, let's stand down because we got to protect the citizens of Edgecombe County. Shaking in our boots. This is what makes us different. This is why it's priority. This is why when I sit and I listen, some of the conversations before us, if we can't guard the courthouse, it's a moot point. Because they would tear it down. This is the state of America right now. And if we don't support public safety, whatever we do will fail. Because we have to protect every building in this county. And we have to do it with the best. And the reason why these young brothers and sisters are getting the best because I sat on the front lines, shaking in my boots. And I did not leave them last night because that's the leader that we are. They didn't stay. They stayed with me for 9 hours at the sheriff's office waiting on the call to serve while everybody else is at the house. This is what makes us different. And so all I ask, so thank you guys for listening. This is a loud cry to do what's right. It's time. Baby steps are not enough. We've been crawling for a long time. And what happened, something will happen around here that'll bring us to our knees. And now I'm charged with protecting it. If something happens downtown Tarboro, we were planning 2 days before. And people said, how did you guys come out safe? Because we had leaders at the sheriff's office planning, talking, making sure no property is damaged, making sure we had intel. I've been there. And for a lot of those areas that got damaged, I knew what was coming. Because I've been on the front lines 5 times, shaking in my boots. So this is what makes us different. This is why this is priority. This is why I just want to thank you guys. Because when you guys lay down tonight, think about it. And I know you guys got to think about everybody else. But when they were with me 8 hours last night, we were shaking in our boots, hoping we didn't have to get called out, praying without chaplain with us. And God watched over us. Hope they'll do it again this week until some of this stuff died out. Because at the end of the day, we're not equipped with what we had. And let me tell you this, I've inherited some stuff. The only thing we had was 1965 helmets. I had this conversation, 3 years ago about new riot gear. I knew this day would come. We're not equipped. So if the day does come when we got to protect, we can't protect. Because I'll pull them off the line before they get hurt and killed. Some things we have to move swiftly on. We cannot delay. If we don't get what we need, we can't protect all these buildings that we're talking about. I'm gonna leave it at that because it's late in the hour, it's late at night, because the last 2 or 3 nights I haven't slept. I've been shaking in my boots to protect the citizens of Edgecombe County. And I'm gonna leave it with that. I thank you guys so much. We're gonna work together, we're gonna get it right. Thank you. Any questions?
Just one. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
give us a brief update right now tonight, what things are doing pretty decent in Rocky Mount, Tarboro, Wilson? Have you got a word?
This is how intel goes, Commissioner. You never know. You just stand on the guard and you be ready. That's what it is. When you're dealing with this, and we dealt with Antifa a long time ago, we've been dealing with it for a long time, and the president just acknowledged them as a terrorist group. We've been dealing with them a long time. It's not the people that are local citizens that tear up your neighborhood. It's people that come in, bust in, and tear your neighborhood down. Those are the people that we're looking for. But guess what? We've got to be ready and equipped and have skilled people to handle these situations. So we never know. We get intel, and we've had some good intel that I don't want to discuss on camera. But there are intel that people are moving around. And guess what? Government buildings are targets. They are targets. So that's why we got to be equipped to protect all these buildings downtown Tarboro to assist Chief Webb and if Chief Robinson called and Chief Hurd. We've got to be ready to plan and mobilize quickly. But if we're not equipped, can't send them in harm's way. All we have to do is direct traffic. Good question. But I'd love to address that, but we do have intel. But we can't discuss on camera, okay?
So as far as getting equipped, like the body armor and all that stuff we see on TV, do we have any of that in the pipeline?
It's been discussed 3 years ago, but we have zero. We have probably helmets that's over 20 years old.
Well, I hear you keep saying it's been discussed. I don't recall the discussion. Did you recall the discussion?
So back when some riots were happening in parts of the country regarding Confederate monuments.
Right, I remember that.
Sheriff and I worked together, hosted meetings between other law enforcement officials and surround, Edgecombe.
You have the figures on it?
Yes, sir, we do.
Included?
How much is it?
No, sir, the outfit 15 that with a helmet, body armor, gas mask, it's about $13 for 15 people.
13 what?
13,000, I'm sorry, 13,000 for 15 people. The outfit, 15 dead. Times that times 3.
I make a motion for $20,000 immediately to be added to the sheriff's budget for that line item.
Not to interrupt you, but that's just one squad. The talks that came into the play with Mr. Evans about 3 years ago with Rocky Mount Police Department when Chief Moore was here, Chief Webb, Sheriff Stone, we all met at the Edgecombe County Sheriff's Office. Chief Webb moved on his. He's outfitted 20 guys. We didn't have the funding at the time. And between both sheriff's offices right now, this is a big issue because we have the numbers. And so we're looking at trying to outfit 45 deputies on each side of the county line, with Rocky Mount pushing about 75 to 100. These are major conversations, and like I said before, the reason why I was at the table, because I've been on the front lines and I know what it is to be equipped, shaking in your boots. So we would have to outfit 3 squads of 15, or at least 2 squads of 15 to start off with, but we need some.
That amount of money would handle 20 based on, he's saying 15 was 13,000.
Yes, sir.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to give additional funds of $20,000 for rod equipment. Questions? All in favor, let it come out, vote saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, saying none. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you guys for short notice. Thank you guys for all what you do. Okay, I appreciate it.
Can you order that tomorrow?
Ma'am?
Can you order that tomorrow?
We're gonna have to get on it quickly because this is some trying time, so,
You haven't seen the budget yet.
thank you guys so much.
Okay, so you haven't approved that budget yet, okay? Or something you might have to pay for it before you approve it, okay? Public petitions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wiggins. As I mentioned earlier, in our notice, we did give citizens the opportunity to submit comments ahead of the meeting in writing. I did receive one submission by email. It is about a page and a half, but if you will, I'll read what I received. It is to the Edgecombe County Manager, School Board, and County Commissioners. It is from Mr. C.B. Daughtridge. He notes former Edgecombe County Commissioner. He also notes Republican. Subject: gap funding, capital expenditure in Nash County, and problems with the route. It appears the commissioners have chosen by budgeting $400,000 for the Edgecombe Rocky Mount School students. Senate Bill 382 was passed in July of 2016, and now budgeting $400,000 is the first tangible action I have seen related to Senate Bill 382, which has mandated action by the fall of 2020. Map involved in commissioner's route, in parentheses, close estimate. Number 1, pay Nash County School System $256 for 1,670 Edgecombe County students to attend Nash Rocky Mount School System equals $427,500. Number 2, as commissioners, you probably will not or would not pay the $256 for the Edgecombe County student going to Nash Rocky Mount School System without paying the same amount on the 6,200 Edgecombe County students to be educated here in Edgecombe County School System. Also, add the 600 Edgecombe County school students being educated in charter schools. Therefore, multiply 6,800 Edgecombe County school students by $256 to your budget, and the number is an additional $1,740,850. If step 2 is not included in your budget, then I fear you might be calling me to help prevent lawsuits like you did in 1999 when the planning board was in trouble, at which time I was asked to serve on the board. If you don't fund all Edgecombe County students equally, in quotes, then you are asking for trouble. Can we afford the cost? Question mark. Number 3, capital expenditures are not as easy to defend the annual cost. However, Edgecombe County will have to pay its 11% share to Nash County on capital maintenance and capital improvements, and even on the $20 million Nash County school scheduled to be constructed in Red Oak next year. Let's put a conservative dollar amount on capital improvements and estimate the mean average will be $2 million. Therefore, the cumulative out-of-budget annual cost is over $4 million. Let's look at some alternate routes. Have a referendum and allow the residents of Edgecombe County living in the city of Rocky Mount to vote on, quote, placing all of Edgecombe County currently located within Rocky Mount city limits into Nash County, end quote. Therefore, all school students in the new, quote, Nash County would be educated and paid for by Nash County. Personally, I do not know what the vote would be. However, if it was affirmative, it would solve lots of political problems, but perhaps we need to look at Plan B. B, Edgecombe County School District be at the county lines, and Edgecombe County provides schools and funding for their public school students. Mathematically, you add up the gap funding of $427,500, quote, the not to be sued funding, end quote, $1,740,850. The annual capital funding to Nash County, quote, $2 million, along with the additional annual state and federal funding for the 1,670 students now attending school in Nash County, $6,500,000. This amounts to over $10,500,000 in savings or new funds to Edgecombe County annually. I recommend we do nothing about the, quote, gap funding. Therefore, go in default of State Bill 382, save the $2 million it is really going to cost to level up on Edgecombe County school students. Save the future $2 million to next year's capital payment to Nash County. Take our students back in the fall of 2021, along with $6,500,000 of state and federal funding. Thank you for listening, reading, time, and through everyone's input. May the right route be taken on this very important issue for Edgecombe County. Respectfully submitted, CB Dodd.
Any comments? Hearing none. Hearing none, is there anything else for public citizens? Other business or consideration of approval of budget amendments? Is there anything else that we brought out there?
I would like to point out number 16, budget amendment number 16, you see the top right corner. As I mentioned earlier, this is the CARES Act or Coronavirus Relief Fund funding that we're expecting to receive. You have a budget amendment to appropriate those to the appropriate line items. I also would ask if you would consider, there are 3 additional budget amendments that are at the table. As you know, we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year. We're trying to get all the necessary budget amendments, and here are 3 additional ones. You see, one is from Finance Office to move funding from one line to another to increase the budget for medical examiner fees. You see a second one from Sheriff Atkinson's office. That is to appropriate funds that were received for an insurance claim on a vehicle. And then a third one is, these are funds for JCPC programs. There were additional funds that were received in the JCPC program for the current year, and we need to do a budget amendment to appropriate those additional funds. And happy to answer questions about any of the others.
Based on what you received in the package, other than the other 3, do we have any questions about the budget? About the budget amendment? If not, is there much to approve?
So moved.
Second. Questions? All in favor, let me know by vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. I'm going to move through this agenda pretty quick, so stop me. Stop me if you have questions or if you need additional info from the manager. Consideration approval of revision of fiscal year 20 JCPC funding plan. Is there a motion to approve? Second? Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved.
Mr. Wiggins, if I could point out, you also have just behind that memo and documentation, you'll remember last month there was the board makeup list for JCPC that needed some updating.
I saw it. And if they didn't read it. Consideration of approval of update to AD grievance process. Is there a motion to approve? Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Consideration of approval of application for Edgecombe Schools for Public Schools Capital Fund. You've seen it, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Question? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Consideration of approval of contract to collect taxes for the town of Pine Top. You've seen Mr. Edwards' statement in terms of provide this service for all of our other communities. There's a motion to approve. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Consideration of approval of contract amendment for H.G. Rooms. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Consideration of approval of the committee for priority play in the town of Caldwell. Second. Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. I'll ask Mr. Edgecombe that all of any other communities that normally get it, if we have not gotten the application, contact us so we can put them on our recess agenda. So that we
They
don't
always
have
late.
to. Are they already late?
I said Macclesfield is always late.
Just make sure that we contact them and let them know that it's an application deadline.
Right.
So that we won't get in the same situation we had before where we couldn't approve it.
Excuse me, Mr. Wade, you dropped your glasses.
I see.
Okay, that's, I didn't want you to step on
Did I get it approved? Did I carry it over?
it. Sorry.
Consideration approval of amendments to coronavirus relief fund. Motion to approve. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed, hearing none. Ms. Evans, you need to probably, go ahead and give us some explanation.
Yes, sir. The next item, utility payment plan terms, as you'll recall that the previous governor's executive order said that there would be late penalties or cutoffs due to the pandemic. Originally, it was to expire on March 31st. Since this package was prepared, the governor has extended that for 60 days. So I would recommend that you consider approving this, leaving that second date open-ended. It basically will go to whenever this extension is.
But I did have some other thoughts in terms of that contract, in terms of, I think that even when we approved that contract, we had, if they didn't meet the contract requirements in terms of that payment, is that we need to not cut off during that contract period until the end of the contract period. By that means if it's a 6-month payment, then they're gonna be required to pay that monthly bill anyway, is that correct?
That's right.
Even if they fall behind in the contract payment, they should not be cut off for the late payment until the expiration of the contract. That was my thoughts on the contract. In other words, while they set up a fee, let's say if they owe $600, set up $100 a month. If they get the $600 paid within the 6-month contract period, I think we need to be all right with that.
I thought the terms were already set.
I'm trying to reset it before we're, okay.
Can you reset the governor's order?
Well, the executive order is.
No, I'm not resetting the governor's order. I'm resetting what we do for cutoff on the contract. That's not, huh?
You're right.
Okay.
I'm following.
You follow what I'm saying? I'm not resetting the governor's order. I'm saying that during the contract period that we give them to pay the back payment, that we don't cut it off until the expiration of the contract. We're giving them the entire, we're gonna set, based on what they owe, we're gonna set an amount. Okay, but we don't cut off for that period.
You basically give them 6 months to pay $600. If they walk down the last day of 6 months, pay in full, they're good. So they get 6 months right paying due.
Right. That's
Paying the past due.
past due bill, they still.
If they go delinquent in the current bill,
We're not cutting off for the past bill, we're cutting off for the current.
So do we have a figure on the amount? So
Yeah, that is, we're already in terms of people that are not behind. You have that idea?
If you look a little, I think we'll come to that in the,
Yes,
department
you do.
report.
Get to it now.
Okay.
But to give us some idea in terms of what we need to do with this.
20,000.
So, looks like in April, there were, in all of the districts, there were 5,396 customers that would have had late fees that were not assessed.
5,000.
Yes, sir.
Total how many?
A total of 5,396 customers.
I'm
sorry, 11,210 dollars.
That's half.
50%.
Delinquent fees was totaled $18,120. That was April. In May, you had $11,350 of late fees that went uncollected, and delinquent fees $18,390.
And we're still talking about this, giving them additional time to pay that delinquent.
So in this utility payment plan terms, you're gonna take the June 15th out and all that?
Yes, we will change that to, that will be open-ended until the governor's order is filed.
Any thoughts on it?
I just tell everybody, you got it, don't pay it. Something that's coming.
What's the will of the board?
So let me understand what you're asking, is that if they owe 6 months worth of utility bills that have been deferred because the governor said you didn't have to pay right now, or we're not gonna be disconnected, you're saying that we're gonna give them 6 months to make that up. Plus they're gonna have to pay their current bill at the time, because I mean, it's gonna be billed currently. And you're just saying that, what's past due, they've got 6 months to pay.
Right. That's really what I'm saying. We're gonna set them up on a monthly basis, but I'm saying we will not cut them off within that 6 months. If they fail to pay it, if they keep their present, if they keep their current bills up.
And where is 6 months coming from? I mean, it's just.
Whatever, I don't know, whatever.
The governor's order says that they have to be spread out over 6 months.
Okay.
And if you look at the utility payment plan agreement terms, number 5, I think what Mr. Wiggins has suggested, as it states, is that payment plan will be set up over, up to 6 months. Whatever that amount is, those 6 equal payments will be due 5 p.m. on the 15th of each month. Originally, if that payment, that first month, second, and third month is not received by that date, they could be cut off. I think what Mr. Wiggins is suggesting is that it not be until the end of the full 6-month period.
And the governor didn't say they didn't have to pay, he just said it would not be cut off.
Well, if our people find out that they don't have to pay for 6 months, they're not gonna pay.
Well, I think.
Well, you cut off in 6 months.
But in 6 months, they get cut off, but we would
And
accumulate
still have
all of
all
that
that
money
money.
owed.
But I think that if we got people that keep current, that are current and paying on the back pay, we've got a continual customer base. I think if not, we're setting ourselves up to have tremendous cutoffs. And what do we do with that? So, I think once the executive order, we don't know what we're gonna be into until these executive orders on this. People are, we don't know what businesses are coming back, we don't know who's coming back to work, we don't know none of that.
Can we address it when we see there is a problem, instead of addressing before there is a problem?
I would like to see a willingness. I think the way it's a staff, it's kind of a discretion out there, but they need leadership in terms of what the thinking of the board is, I think. And I think it's going to be an issue. I would agree that it can be addressed, but we can always amend contracts. Okay, we can amend the contract. This board has to start to amend the contract, and even after 6 months, we can amend those contracts if we see customers that are working to pay those obligations. That's a discretion in terms of what we're doing.
But if they keep up the current payment for 6 months and put forth an effort to pay the past due. Is there such thing as
That's-
possibly amendment with the right officer?
No, well, I think there is a discretion in terms of, they're paying that in terms of whether we will amend that contract or not, if they're paying on that past due obligation.
Because, you know.
We're not saying give up this bill. We're saying give our citizens an opportunity to catch up. That's the only thing I'm saying.
But if they pay the current bill for the next 6 months, keep that current, and the past due bill they put forth and have to pay, is there anything we can do to?
We're looking at that at the end of the contract period. We can look at that at the end of the contract.
It's gonna be Christmas after a while, and ain't nobody paying nobody when Santa Claus comes.
Well, Santa Claus don't stop coming, so.
Collection still knows how to draft from your account, we don't pay.
Well, you know, I think there are many of us that been in similar situations. And we need to just give an understanding of some of our own individual experiences in terms of how we want our community treated.
And I think folks gonna do right, those that can pay, I believe they're gonna pay their bill.
Is there any way we
And
can
they can.
communicate that to them publicly or by letter or by inserts in the deal or something to help them?
Well, if we approve this, I think, the staff's gonna take care of it. If we approve this, all of those that are delinquent will have an opportunity to do this. And what is the opinion of the board in terms of the comments that I have made, or do we need to go ahead and approve the contract as written? Is there a motion on the floor?
Well, I move that we, make a motion that we, accept this contract with the addition that you.
Give me some language for that addition.
Yes.
How would you say that?
To revise section 5 to say that the service will not be disconnected until the expiration of the full 6 months.
But we're still gonna set up the rate.
Set up the payment plan, the monthly payment plan, and not disconnect it. The monthly payment is less until the full amount not paid within the full 6 months.
Any disagreement with the board?
That's what I think.
Okay.
Need a second.
Second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by vote sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Outlets and releases for review and approval, is there a motion? Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by vote sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Contract for review and approval, I'll let you give that percentage, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I do have one I would like to ask if you consider adding to the list. That is, and there's a copy at your place, this is for closing out the septic tanks at Mid-Lake Mobile Home Park. So that was bid out, we are recommending that contract with Fleming Landscaping. You can see the bid tabulation sheet there. All of the others of these are annual renewal contracts that we typically do. A number of these you'll see, I think all of these you'll see, except for one I just mentioned, are coming from our Department of Social Services. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Motion to approve? Question? All in favor, let it be known by vote sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Department of reports for review. Is there anything that you need to bring to our attention?
No, sir. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mine is up, the report, what do you need to bring up?
I would like to highlight, especially for the public, that we're still, the census is underway. If you commissioners, you'll see in your agenda packet that we are slightly behind the state level of responding to the census, and this report was printed a few days ago, but we are at 51.3% response rate here in Edgecombe County. The state is at 56.5%. So I highly encourage any of our citizens that have not yet completed the census, please do so. A number of ways that can be easily done. Also, the census is still looking to hire people here in Edgecombe County. Information we received is that they are looking to fill 45 vacant enumerated positions in Edgecombe County at a pay of $17 per hour. There's information in your packet on how people can apply. There's also information on our website. Regarding the COVID-19 update, We are at a total of 204 positive cases. Unfortunately, we've had 9 deaths here in the county. There are 174 that have recovered, and currently there are 21 active cases, active meaning they're still under that surveillance period. I did inform you all last week, but just for the public to know, we did take what we call step 1 in the reopening of county operations. Most of our buildings have been closed to the public with a few exceptions. We did open back up here in this building this morning. The collector's office as well as DMV in this office, that has gone fairly smoothly this morning. And so just wanted you to be aware of that. And happy to answer any questions you might have about it.
Any questions? Commissioners report, anybody? Attorney's report, none. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be going into closed session to discuss economic development and personnel matters. He's smart, he'll do it. He's smart, he'll do it. He knows how to open his mouth. He got everything to say, he's Question, all in favor, let it do it. All opposed, we now going into closed session. He knows what to say.